Freedom is very fragile. It's more fragile when we don't know the truth. You're about to be part of FramersView, where truth is the foundation of every day's program. Join us live every weekday right here on Rumble at 1 p.m. Eastern. Now, here's Neil Frame on FramersView.
That. And the second is, here we are, Monday. And for those of you that you go into work every week and you pound out the job and get the job done, proud of you. Really am. But here we are. I'm hearing a noise in my background. Don't know what it is. Oh, I know what it is. Do you know what? There's more technology in this world than you connect, which by the way is part of the show today. The technology and the noises and the stuff that you hear are not a responsibility of FramersView. Yes, it is actually. Thank you for being here. Hey, you know what? This show today is, we'll call it brought to you by a conversation I had yesterday afternoon, late in the afternoon, with somebody that I'm gonna classify it as was distraught. Okay, just plain old distraught about what's going on. And I didn't know this person. They know me. I've lived here for a long time, and so some people know me that I mean I've seen them before, but I don't know them. But this person stopped, and it turned out that they happen to know somebody that watches this show, and it turned out they are conservatives, and they're worried about it's just hopeless, not homeless, hopeless. We're never going to survive, and the doom and gloom. I won't play the doom and gloom. I'm going to point out some of the stuff that's doom and gloom today, but there's another side to all of those kind of things. And that's what we'll be talking about. So, we've got craziness. We've got the angry people, the people that are shooting, all, the mall shootings, the event shootings, the whatever shootings, these riots that are going on. They're not protests. These people would say, oh, it's just a protest. Well, first of all, do you have a permit to be in the street? Nobody's following that rule. If you're in the streets, you have to have a permit to be able to occupy a street area. But nobody seems to follow that anymore. And then you've got people pushing people around. Obviously, ICE is, hanging out there to be shot, run over, whatever the case may be. It just goes on and on and on with this. And so while the craziness is like it always has been, it's just been pumped up, and it's pumped up by the people that have the budgets to keep these people going. I didn't have time to put up, there was a story that popped up just before the show, but maybe 10 minutes before. It's just too late to get it in. I'll do it tomorrow. But they have face recognition that they've been doing to find people that have been at different protests across the country that are the same people. These aren't homegrown people that are doing these things. There may be some of them, but all of the banners, the placards, all of the things that are made professionally, this isn't somebody down in their basement doing this. It just isn't. And it changes every day. So, you'd have to have a crew of 50, 60 people to keep up with that, and huge printers and all kinds of stuff. They've got the stuff going on with the Soros of the world. And that just can't keep going on. At least that's my opinion. I could be wrong. Welcome to the show. Do me a favor, please click like, click subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything to do that. It just helps me, makes my show get a little more attention. More people watch it. As more people watch it, and we need live viewers. That makes a big difference for me. We get a lot of viewers through the day, 24 hours of show. People watch the same show, or people come in 2 days later and watch today's show, for an example. And that's great, and I appreciate it. And if you can't watch it live, I get it. But if you got a chance, please come in and watch it. So I've got to do a couple of things that like I said, hadn't really planned on doing. But because of what's going on, there is a dangerous situation. You may have heard me talking about Maze Moore. Maze Moore is it's a guy, I believe, I'm pretty sure, that is on X, and he has a lot of followers. He's got a ton of information. He puts a lot of stuff out there, and he brings out stuff that's old to remind you this isn't something new. He does these things to keep you informed. And so there's a guy that commented to him, and there's a number of different comments. And I want you to see how Maze responds, but there's a lot to what Maze responds with. Look at this first. Now, if you can't read these things, that's fine. I can share these with you so that you can understand it. This is a group of comments from one particular person that, these are things why people have to have security. James Buckland is the guy that's on X, at Buckland James. I shouldn't even give him any credit. Hey, Maze, you anonymous coward. Heard of Sinclair? Hey, Maze, you anonymous coward. How long can you lick Trump's boots? Again, it goes on and on with this. Why do you protect pedos? Trump he wasn't even involved in the Epstein thing. He's mentioned a bazillion times because, well, that's just what happens. But there's no evidence of any of him being on the plane, on the island, pedophiles, whatever the case is. There's no evidence of that, but they don't care. Maze, scared of losing, you pussy. F off, Maze, you pedo protector. I mean, he just goes on and on and on with that. And, when that happens, it makes people that see this kind of stuff that are on that side, they get even more angry. So what does Maze Moore say? Hey, Jimbo, I'm not a coward. In fact, nothing would make me happier than smacking that stupid, confused look off your face. Unfortunately, because there are emotionally stunted, obsessed lunatics like yourself on the internet, many of us choose to stay anonymous and protect our families. People like you should not be allowed near children, our pets, or other people. Have a nice day, Jimbo. Well, you know what? That's really what it comes down to. You have to just blow it off and not let it be something that just continually drives you nuts, because it will drive you nuts. And I think the biggest point is, we're going to talk about this too, the press and the people that are willing to push these comments and these ideas and these feelings and blah, blah, blah are causing more trouble than you understand, because there's way more people that don't know the truth than that do. And if the press keeps just pushing the same garbage, those people are going to believe that. And when they do, it just makes other people more angry and more people talking about it. And then you've got the Charlie Kirk assassination. You've got the attempts on Trump. You've got all of the people that have been shot and wounded, and the things that happened in Boulder, a couple of years ago. Everybody's just angry. And why does everybody want to hate Jews? I get it, but I don't get it. Is it really that big of a deal for you to have to hate a group of people like this? But I guess we'll see. Obviously, we'll see. And when we get a real handle on this situation and we understand it fully, it'll help us understand a little more. So Jimmy Kimmel, who is a genius of the television world and is so funny, he's the funniest man that I've ever seen. Not, and so he's talking about Pratt, and this is before something that just came out that I'm going to share with you. But watch this thing with Jimmy Kimmel, and again, the hate that you can hear under this. Watch this.
Take a while for Democrats here in Los Angeles to figure out which of their friends secretly voted for Spencer Pratt. Barring a late ballot buzzer beater, it appears that Mayor Karen Bass will advance to a runoff against the former reality show villain. 60% of the vote has been counted. If that holds, it means that in November. Take a while for Democrats here in Los Angeles to figure out which of their friends secretly voted for Spencer Pratt. Barring a late ballot buzzer beater, it appears that Mayor Karen Bass will advance to a runoff against the former reality show villain. 60% of the vote has been counted. If that holds, it means that in November, Los Angelinos are going to have to choose between a woman named Karen and a man who is one. This is insane. We should be very embarrassed. Spencer Pratt should not be a top 2 finalist for mayor. He should be DJing the worst New Year's Eve party in Reno right now. Now, he's unlikely to win. And in fact, he's already filming a reality show about his run for mayor, so he definitely has his priorities in order.
This guy he's disgusting. And of course, he's obviously not going to support anybody that's common sense. But then I had to go and take a look at the California election results so far. You will remember that Karen Bass was leading the LA mayor. Becerra was leading the governor's race. But the second place in both situations are Republicans. That was Spencer Pratt for the LA mayor. And then you've got Steve Hilton that's in second place, which those two second place people would end up in a runoff or a election in November. That's the way that would work, because in one of those parties did their 50%, they get 50%. But now today, I take a look at this. This is just maddening. But we have this all the time. And let's say there's no election fraud going on. How would you not expect people to be suspicious? How would you expect people not to go, you know what, this can't be right? Because that's how that works usually. You give it more time, they can fill in more ballots, make up some new names, put those in there. We can get the Democrats in there. And then because of the way Newsom set this up a long time ago, where the top two doesn't matter, everybody's Republicans and Democrats are all running at the same time, primaries all together, so that he knew that you could have two Democrats running and you're going to always have a Democrat in office. And here we are. And here we are. It hurts my brain. It just hurts my brain to see this kind of thing. And when you have concern about if the election's legitimate, then there's all kinds of conspiracies. There's all kinds of trouble. If I were a Democrat voter, I'm talking about just Joe average Democrat voter, I would be saying, we need to fix this. We need to make sure everybody knows this is legitimate, like it is in Florida when we've got a result in a couple of hours after the closing of the polls. Why can't we do that? That's what they should be saying. And there should be some politician that says we have to change this. But they're not going to, because every one of those depends on this kind of a thing happening. And if it just keeps going on and on and on, how do we get past it? Well, we won't. And that's why when I've talked about the Electoral College, that's why the Electoral College is so important on the federal elections. You can't use the Electoral College on the locals, the regional states. But that's what, to some degree, protects the federal elections. So here we go. We get a group of people, and I told you, conversation I had, this person felt like it was hopeless. I remember a good buddy of mine, he said, this goes back years ago. He says, if Biden wins, we're doomed because people don't care. I've said that about something as silly as American Idol. I've said this to my wife a bazillion times, and it proves out to be true for years. You watch American Idol and the voting that goes on. I'm not talking about voting fraud here. I'm talking about, the judges do a pretty good job at judging the people. And then it goes to America to vote. And I said, don't trust America. And the girl that won this year, she shouldn't have come in the top 15. I'm sure there's people who will disagree with me, but, being an old DJ and the guy that actually was a music director in radio stations, I was pretty good at picking what was going to be a star and what wasn't. In fact, I got recognized by Billboard magazine a couple of times, which ain't easy to happen. My point is that here we are, with an election of some just American Idol, and you can't trust the voters. Not trust them, but they can't make an intelligent decision. They vote on feelings. They vote on, I don't know what they vote on. Adam Lambert, who is a phenom, didn't win in American Idol. A person that I don't even remember who won that. It was awful. It's like, what? The person that didn't win this year, they showed the judges just for a minute, and there was a stunned look on their face. Now we look at these LA races and the state races of California, and you see what's happening where the number 3 person's now up 2, ahead by almost 5 points, ahead of the guy that was in second place. And there's still going to be a couple of weeks before they have the results. I don't know. What can you do? Well, what you can do is be confident that there are people out there that are making a difference. And when I say there are people, the are people is, in the biggest case, the President of the United States, who is doggedly sticking with his message, the message of America. So he was with Kirsten Welker this weekend, and two things happened. One, and I'm going to show this to you, but this first one is, she asks the stupid questions, and then he has to help her clear it up. So watch this, and it will call to attention what I'm talking about. Watch.
We're developing it during the nuclear deal. You don't know that? Iran, when Obama signed that stupid deal where he paid them billions and billions of dollars, he thought he could bribe them. Listen to me. They were developing a nuclear weapon. That's how they got there. They got all of this uranium during Obama. You know that, don't you? Well, that's how they got there. Don't say this. They got there. They developed it during the Barack Hussein Obama.
Well, what he's really making the point of is, the plane showed up with the pallets of cash that went to Iran, or as they say on the news, Iran. It's not Iran. That's a person saying, I went for a run. Iran. You morons. Anyway, and he has to explain to her that. I don't think she even knew it. You watch that video and it's like she's kind of got a scrunched up face like, what? They don't know, because all they do, they're talking heads. I'm a talking head, you could say, except for the fact that everything is on paper that I've written. I don't have a crew of people that are telling me what to yap on the screen. And so they don't pay attention. They live in their own little bubble. They tell their own stories. And almost nobody talked about Obama giving billions of dollars to the Iranians. And why is that? The answer is because it doesn't fit their narrative, which we've talked about before. This is the press problem. You've got the people problem that are making bad decisions in elections, but it's the press people that don't tell you the whole story. They tell their story. And so you almost can't blame the voters, except for the ones that know it and say, well, there was a guy today they were talking to in Portland, Maine. He said, he says, I know all about the bad stuff he's done, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to vote for him. That's how we got into a real problem back in the 30s. Not we, but Germany did. They let somebody that was taking over the country that was crooked, dangerous, and they didn't do anything about it. And then he got enough grip into things. They knew if they said anything bad or if they tried to stop him, he'd just kill him. And eventually that's what he did. Now, am I saying that's going to happen in the United States? Probably not. I hope not. I think it'd be pretty hard because we've got more guns in this country than we've got population. And I've got a few friends that's got more ammunition than the ammo stores have got. People know that. I mean, you got to wonder. You really got to wonder. So Kirsten Welker asked him a stupid question. I'm not going to play the stupid question because it's so stupid. But this is why Trump is so effective. When he's got the nonsense going on from stuff that the people are saying, he just blows them off and walks away. Just like when you're writing a deal and the deal isn't working for you, walk away. Watch this. It's short.
Call it quits because I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good time.
Mr. President, let's please. I traveled all the way to Wisconsin.
I've sat in the rain with you.
I know.
I've sat in the rain with you for an hour, on and off in the rain, and I've given you enough time. You ought to straighten out your press because you know what? A country can never be great with a dishonest
Listen,
press.
we traveled all the way to Wisconsin for this interview.
And he touches her shoulder and says, you have a nice day. That hissing, he was talking about the rain. It was pouring down rain, and there sounded like they were in a barn or someplace. And, she is so determined. Well, here's what happens. She gets a little piece of paper that's in her little folder that she gets on her company jet, most likely. The Welkers of the world and others, they don't have to put up with us normal people that get on planes, usually. And they go and they just ask their gotcha questions, and most people try to talk around it. And Trump just goes, "You're an idiot." And that's it. Just calls it what it is. It's the press. And they're trying to get their story out. It's not the story. It's their story. And I don't know how to describe it any other way. It just can't continue. But here's the thing. When people don't do exactly what they want, and a good example of this is CBS. They've had 60 Minutes has been on forever. They all have their stories. When things are going bad for their side, it's fascinating how they manage to, just do stories that are, like talking about how cockroaches walk. I don't think we've actually had one of those shows on there. But they just don't even talk about it. Just don't even bring the subject up. When it's a subject that works for them, they pound it and pound it and pound it. So Scott Pelley, who is, you can tell he's kind of a pompous guy anyway. Scott Pelley has really been a good example of somebody that just says his thing and expects you to just buy everything he says. And then there was a change in the upper management at CBS, and Barry Weiss came in. She's the new director of broadcast television. I'm not sure what her title is. But they can't stand her because they know that she knows Trump and that she's, I don't know, she may be a conservative, which would surprise me that CBS even would hire somebody that is a conservative. But maybe they're realizing, we're losing too much money here, guys. So Scott Pelley puts out his message. Now, at, let's see, how many seconds was this thing? I think it's at 17 seconds. Listen to what he says. I'll stop it right after that. But at 17 seconds, he makes it so that he is free to say whatever he wants to. Watch this.
Barry Weiss sends an email to my boss, Tanya Simon. Two of the things in the email include, can we make the protesters look more violent? Now, I'm paraphrasing. I don't have the quote.
I'm paraphrasing. I don't have the quote. Paraphrase clears you of quote. Saying you don't have the quote means that, well, that's what I was told, and it absolves him from anything that he has said. And he can say, well, I guess I'm sorry I said that, and he can get away with it. This is how these people play the game. And this video, by the way, is a little bit longer than I usually play, but it's important to hear these things. So first of all, he's saying that he's asked to find more violent protesters. That's what he's claiming. Watch it continue.
But that's what was communicated to me. And the other thing was Renee Good's car. You need to describe her as driving toward the officer. This is not what you see on the video. On the video, you see the officer standing slightly off the front of the car, and you clearly see Miss Good's wheels turned completely as far as they will go, away from the officer. But he shoots her in the head, kills her, and says something about her in that moment that I can't repeat in polite company. So we have gone out of our way in our plan from the very beginning to show the protesters for the responsibility that they had. We had already scrubbed the video archives, looking for those scenes. But it somehow wasn't enough for Ms. Weiss. The video showed that the officer wasn't standing in front of the car and she wasn't driving toward him, but that's what the president said about that, and that's the way she wanted it described.
What a pompous ass. First of all, the things nobody talks about with the Good situation when she got shot. Number one, she had her wheels turned the other way. Well, if you really pay attention and you look at other pictures of what was happening there, that road, and keep in mind, we're in Minnesota in the winter, that road was a sheet of ice. So whether she had the wheels turned hard left or hard right, when she accelerated, the car steered straight. There's no surprise there. If you've ever driven in the snow, if you're going too fast, it does what's called understeer. It's a thing that they learn about in auto racing. We always, when you're working on getting your car to hold traction, understeer means you can't get the turn when you're going fast. You need more camber to get more tire traction. Well, when there's ice, you don't have that. And so the car went straight. And he was going to get hit because he couldn't get out of the way. And there's nothing, in my opinion, there's nothing here that would be supporting what he said. But he doesn't have the quotes, and he doesn't have anything of what he's saying. But they're bad boys, and Barry Weiss is bad, and he had just, I don't think it was the same day. It was a few days before, in a meeting, he had a screaming match with her with other people there, that nobody likes her and nobody will ever like her. Probably not a good thing to say to your boss. Sometimes you button it. You say, okay, I'm going to keep my mouth shut. She won't last that long. And in the CBS world, maybe she won't. Maybe Barry Weiss just won't last. Who knows? But she's possibly going to make a difference at CBS. And saying, let's put both sides of the story out. Let people make a decision. That's what Fox News is supposed to do. And I will admit, sometimes they don't. They've been getting a little bit crazy with that. But that's what happens. Speaking of crazy, who's the craziest person that we can talk about on the East Coast? Anybody want to comment about that? The answer, I think, is my good friend Elizabeth Warren. She is a classic. Look at this. She had just walked out of the Senate vote and hearing, and she's talking about the IRS and Trump. We'll talk about this further after I get done with this little segment. Watch this.
I just got off the Senate floor. Wow. Senate Republicans gave the green light for the IRS to drop all investigations into Trump and his family. So Trump negotiates this sweetheart deal with his own IRS. The Senate voted on a bill to block this corruption, and the Republicans blocked the bill. That means that if Trump is evading taxes, we literally will never know. It's just not fair. It is a gut punch to every single American who works hard and plays for the rules. I have a bill to make this illegal, and I'm not going to stop until we get it done.
Sex creep problem. Have you seen this guy, Graham Plattner, up in Maine? He's their big hope to take the Senate, the Democrats. But Graham Plattner, he's a lot. You know, he's got a Nazi tattoo. We don't know about that. Maybe it was just drunk. He didn't know it was, whatever. But a lot of stuff. Now stuff about his, you know, he definitely was sexting other women outside of his marriage. Now some of the girlfriends are coming forward. One of them says he used to watch TV while he was sharpening his axe, which could cost him women and their vote. But he did win over Stephen King.
Every governor in America. No one had ever held the states accountable. The federal government funds the food stamp program. We send hundreds of millions of dollars a day to the states, but there'd never been a back-end accountability on how is that money getting spent. So we asked all the states to partner with us. It's time to have accountability. The red states, of course, did. And with that red state data, we found 200,000 dead people getting food stamps. We found 500,000 people that were getting more than one benefit. And y'all, this was in the red states. The blue states wouldn't give us the data. They're suing us. We're in massive litigation right now, looking to cut those funds off until they give us that data. But the fraud is so rampant and so stunning that when the president, the vice president, and our team talks about, you know, when we can root all this fraud out, we're going to really be able to cut the deficit, make sure we're protecting the taxpayer, but also make sure we're protecting the families that rely on these programs at the same time and by getting the fraud out.
And the
Thanks for your support. Join the FramersView Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern.